What I wanted to talk about today are these 3 words that I personally believe would and will change your entire world. And before I get into that, I want to actually share a story with you about my daughter, Joy. So on Tuesday, I took her to play school, and I was going to go pick her up. And normally I try to have a conversation with her and let her know who's going to be picking her up, whether it's going to be me or her dad, but I didn't even think of it. It totally slipped my mind. And so needless to say, when she saw me pulling up to pick her up from school, she had an epic, and I mean epic, meltdown, okay? So apparently it started off, she ended up stubbing her toe bad, so she was already emotional, and then she seen me pulling up, and guys, she literally, like, you know when kids scream so hard their whole body becomes a board? Yeah, that was my daughter, rolling around on the cement outside the play school, freaking out because I was the one picking her up from school. And of course, when a child gets this way, there's really no way to rationalize with them, to get them to calm down, to get them to see reason that I'm really, I'm sorry you thought your dad was coming, but I'm here and daddy's not coming, so you kind of got to come with me. You know what I mean? Like, you can't talk your kid out of a tantrum. It just doesn't work. And so I ended up just kind of hanging out there for a second, and I just let her kind of scream it out for a bit because she's obviously pretty upset about the whole scenario. And eventually, between screamings, I was able to say, do you want a hug? Do you want a hug? And eventually she let me pick her up. And so I'm giving her this big bear hug, walking her to the car. And by this time, she's completely worked up. She's getting hot, overheated. I want to take her jacket off because otherwise she'll just be screaming the whole way home she's too hot. And then, of course, she's not even hearing the words, like, can I take your jacket off, please? And I'm trying really hard not to do the whole impatient, I don't want to call it manhandling, but in essence, that really is what it is, where I'm just like, I don't care that you're screaming, I'm taking off your jacket, I'm putting you in the seat, and I'm buckling you in, screaming or not screaming. All right, okay, we're back. So I didn't want to force her into listening because that never gets us anywhere. She just gets more worked up. So anyway, she's standing there screaming beside the car. I want to take her jacket off because she's getting really hot and sweaty. And I just end up I just end up hugging her really tightly. And I just said, I love you, about 40 times in a row. And after about the 5th time, she stopped crying. And I just kept going, and I kept saying it over and over and over and over and over again until she actually kind of started to melt in my arms a bit and listen and calm down a little bit. And then she was actually her brain was able to come out of that, really elevated state where they don't even hear the words coming out of your mouth. She was able to bring herself back down and regulate her nervous system a little bit, and she was able to hear my words when I'm like, can I take your jacket off, please? Yes. Okay. So then we started to get somewhere, and anytime she was gonna start getting all upset again on the drive home, I would just keep repeating, I love you. I love you, Joy. I love you. And she would calm right back down again. This is the first time, honestly, that I've ever used those 3 words to that extreme before. I would like to say that I react perfectly during every single meltdown and fit, but I'm a human. I am normal, and I don't. But I was really, really shocked because I was kind of really grasping at straws. I didn't want to lose my cool. I didn't want to force her. And so I'm like, what would I want to hear? if I was completely freaking out and illogical and having a major anxiety attack and stressed right out, what would I want to hear? I would want a hug. And I would want somebody to remind me that they love me. And it was very, very powerful, and it touched me, and it obviously touched her. And in the end, we actually learned something, both of us together. And it just reminded me how important it is that when we have our moments of anxiety, of meltdown, of extreme stress, of overwhelm, of self-doubt, self-hate, all of that stuff that we all experience. Like, seriously, guys, we all experience it. So let's talk about it. Let's get it out there. Let's not make it a shameful thing to feel those things, because we all feel it. But when we can remind ourselves with those 3 words that I love me, I love me, me love me. When I can remind myself of that, when I can meet myself in those moments of complete and utter chaos and pain with empathy, with love, it diffuses all of the hurt and the pain that I'm feeling right then and there in that moment. And it allows my brain to come back down to actually start thinking rationally again. Like, okay, I'm completely overwhelmed, or I'm completely anxious, or I am so losing my cool and I just want to rage out. But I love me. And you say that until you feel yourself come down off the ledge, and then you can be like, okay, why do I feel this way? What's the cause of this? What is the unmet need that has pushed me beyond my point, right? And then when you actually know what your unmet need is, then you can just slow down and meet it, right? Then you can be like, I am doing too much. I am trying to do 20 things all at the same time. I am dropping all the balls and I hate it. Okay, so I need to put some balls down. I need to literally specifically prioritize what I need to do. I need to break it down to, I want to focus on these 3 things, and that is it. And that is okay. I love me. I can focus on these 3 things, and that's what I'm going to do. And then you now have a game plan that's actually going to help resolve those feelings and resolve that unmet need that you're struggling with. And while I know there are extreme cases of anxiety where you might not be able to have, this conversation, but a lot of us deal with anxiety on like, what would you call it? Like, I'm trying to think of the actual word here. Like, you can function through the anxiety, not well, but you can still function. Some people have anxiety so bad that they literally, like, they are just paralyzed. I don't suffer with that. I'm not talking about that specifically. I'm talking about more of like that insane overwhelm and that anxiety where you can still somewhat function, just very, very poorly. You're not paralyzed. And when you can really meet yourself in that space with empathy and love, then you can really start understanding and discovering why you're there in the first place. And once you know that, then you can actually resolve it. And it's all about you. Yes, it's great if somebody right there beside you sees you completely overwhelmed and anxious, and they look at you in the eyes and they grab your shoulders and you're like, hey, I love you. I love you. It's gonna be okay. And give you a big bear hug. Yeah, that's fantastic, but we need to be able to do this for ourselves, right? This is a skill that we all need to learn to be able to navigate this life on our own, so we are healthy on our own. So I just wanted to share that with you from a little bit of a cool insight that my daughter and I shared there on Tuesday. So I hope this came through okay. I apologize for the on the road live here, and I appreciate your patience through the spotty connection. I just, I'm taking my daughter in to get her ears checked out by a specialist, and this was kind of the only time today I'd be able to get to jump on. So I just really wanted to share that with you because I feel like this can really help people, and it changes my life when I remember to do this, and it is something that I am practicing to become a habit in my life. So I hope you have the best day, and I love you. I might not know you, but I do love you, and I am so thankful that you are here with me and you trust me to join me on your journey here in this group. And remind yourself that you love yourself. Okay, I challenge you today to say it 10 times. I love me. Me love me. I challenge you to do that today, okay? Anyway, we will chat again soon, and take care. Bye.